Hey there, welcome to another chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. I'm your host, John Verrigo. And once again, I am delighted to bring you another exciting guest, an author in the Cracking the Rich Code series. This is Troy Love. What a cool name. I want to call him Dr. Love. But you got to say that Dr. Love and stretch it out. But that's not real. He's not a doctor, but he plays one on TV. No, he doesn't. But he is an expert in some stuff that we're going to talk about. This is Troy Love from Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 15. Troy, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm so good, John. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you.
So when I started checking up on you and to find out a little bit more about Troy Love, I said, "Oh, what a cool name! I wish I had a cool name like that, because you can go so far with that." But interestingly, as I looked you up and I said, "Okay, with a cool name like Love, let's find out a little bit more about what he does." And that's only because I had not had a chance to read Volume 15 yet, which has your chapter. And so I looked you up, and on your website, it says you are the self-love torchbearer.
I am.
Let's
That came
talk about
from,
that. Where did that come from?
well, a long time ago. I was probably 19 years old, and I was away at school, and I went to some lecture somewhere, and the guy said something to the effect of, if you really want to be good at whatever you do, you need to be able to love yourself. And that actually really made me mad. At the time, I
Made you
didn't.
mad.
Yeah, made me
Oh,
mad. I didn't love myself. There were so many things that I thought were wrong with me. And he said something like, if you want to love other people, you need to be able to love yourself. And I was like, I love other people. I'm kind. I am willing to listen to other people. Why do you have to love yourself to be able to love other people? And I remember having this argument with myself in the bathroom about how that wasn't true, that you could love other people if you didn't love yourself. And I really, really didn't like myself. And then I had
so
this
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second.
sure.
Why didn't you like yourself? What is it that made you think so little of yourself?
Why didn't I like, what wasn't there? I was short. I was so skinny. I probably weighed like 100 pounds at the time. Uh, I'd been bullied my whole life. Um, I, there
We
were,
are in the same boat, my friend.
yeah, just I didn't like my voice. Like there was a list of a million things that I didn't love about myself, and but I thought I was kind. I thought I was really friendly to other people, so that ticked me off. And then as I'm sitting there in the bathroom, this feeling came over me. Said, Troy, the reason why that's true is, yeah, you're kind and everything, but if you can't love yourself, then when other people try to love you back, you will deflect it, you'll push it away. And eventually, people are going to get tired of trying to love on you and they're going to give up. So, the reason why that's so true is because you need to be able to let it inside. And that
Wow.
really became the journey for me of figuring out how to love myself. And it's been a 35-year journey of figuring that out. But that I've come to the understanding of just how important it is to be able to love you so you actually can be more loving to the people that you care about.
Wow, that's brilliant and very deep, and I never would have thought of it from that perspective. Because we hear that a lot, you have to love yourself before you can love others. And
Yeah.
and it's hard to convince people of that. And you hear that you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And that's like a health thing,
Right.
you can't put on your masks if the plane
Exactly.
starts to decompress because you can't help somebody else if you've already passed out.
That's right.
Uh, so it's really an eye-opening perspective. And so
Well,
thank you for sharing. And
you're welcome.
while you were telling your story, I'm sitting going, yeah, I was 5'3", weighed 110 when I graduated high school at the age of 18. So I know
Mhm.
exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. And unfortunately, we tend to believe what other people say about us. And we tend
Exactly.
to believe when people belittle us. We believe the bullies. We try not to. but inside we're beating ourselves up. And then when we get to a point where, we want to love other people, and we can love other people, but you're right. When people try to love us back, we put up a wall. We go, I'm not worthy.
Right. I'm not worthy of that love. You don't really mean it. If you really knew me, you wouldn't say that. Deflect, 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 deflect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do we do that?
Well, it's all shame-based, which is one of the things that I've learned over the years. It's this deep feeling that I'm unworthy of love and belonging, the word you just said, that we all struggle with. We all struggle with whether or not we're worthy enough. And the truth is we are. But we all struggle with that. And then there's this fear that I have to be perfect. I have to be a certain way in order to be worthy of love and belonging. And that's just not so. But man, that's been pounded into us since we were little kids.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We always have to compare ourselves to others, right? We have to be that perfect look, that perfect whatever, that
Not right.
those products, those, the things that other people have. The grass is greener on the Joneses lawn, that kind of stuff. We're always doing that. And it is the nature of society to force us to compare ourselves to others, and that's what marketing is all about, and capitalism is all about, right? Showing off.
Exactly.
You're not worthy unless you have this product. You're not you're not good unless you're drinking this particular beverage or whatever it is.
That's right. And part of what the article in the Rich Code was about is this feeling of I'm not worthy of having abundance. I'm not worthy of being able to have the financial means. I'm not worthy because there's this comparison, right?
Yeah, that scarcity thinking kind of thing. Now, the chapter that you wrote is called Healing 6 Attachment Wounds and Overcoming Shame to Achieve Financial Abundance.
Yep. So there are 6 attachment wounds. As humans, we're wired for connection biologically, neurologically, socially, spiritually, energetically. We're wired to be connected. And then if things happen, especially as we're growing up, that damage those relationships and damage those connections, those can actually cause wounds similar to actual physical wounds. But a lot of time people don't know that they have them. They don't know that they exist. And so we don't actually treat them like we would another wound if we could see it. And the wounds are loss, neglect, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, and abuse. And what happens with those wounds is that they get tied to core beliefs that we have about ourselves. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve. I should be punished. And so when we think about that, and then we tie that especially around finances, how much do those wounds play a role in the way that we handle money, the way that we interact with money? Because money is a really great way of saying whether we're enough or not, based on what society's mores are about that. And so if I've had these wounds, they really can, if I don't learn how to heal them, they really can impact my ability to actually have abundance, where I end up in that scarcity mentality, like you said.
Right. Wow. And it's interesting that you were able to tie it to finances.
Well, when he asked me
more
to
it than
that. Yeah, well, when he asked me to write the chapter, I was like, I'm not a finance guy.
Exactly my reaction too.
I don't know anything about this. What I do know is my own relationship with money and how much I've had that scarcity mentality my whole life, and how that's held me back and caused me to be afraid to make financial choices. So that's what I know. But so I was like, I don't know if I've actually cracked the Rich Code, but I can tell you what undermines it is shame, and I know how to crack shame. So I was.
I think you and I had about the same reaction when Jim reached out to me. The same thing when he said, cracking the Rich Code. I'm like, hey, I'm not a money guy. I'm in my mid 60s. I'm working on my second million. but that's
Yeah.
because the first million didn't work out. So I started from scratch, I just said, all right, let's just reset, but,
Right.
but then, as we talked to Jim Moore, we realized that, it's about it's about richness of life and all of that. And so yeah, we find that, when we have, uh, an abundance of love, and we have, abundance of good people around us, it's not the stuff that we have, it's not what we can buy that brings us the happiness. I mean, granted, money helps, to be able to, but I know a lot of people who have a lot of money and are just miserable.
So yeah, I have a client right now who's multimillionaire and has several businesses, and he tells me how miserable he is and how sick he is of talking about money all the time. And that's all his clients want to talk to him about. And he's like, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about meaning and relationships and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Absolutely.
Right.
The meaning of life is what is so important. It's not about amassing stuff. Of
Right.
course, you
I mean, what
wouldn't
you
know
do
that
with
when you
it
look
when
at the
you die,
clutter in
that's
my house.
exactly. Right now, my daughter just left, and I said, "You know what? All the stuff you leave in this house, I'm gonna give to the Goodwill." And she left a lot, and I've been taking boxes and boxes. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, all this stuff did not make you happy."
Interestingly, we have just, when my mother passed a couple of years ago, we got a bunch of stuff, and it included grandma's stuff,
Mm.
and we've been slowly, going through, and we've given a lot away to Goodwill and other charities and such like that, and we've put some out in yard sales and things. We just had a yard sale this past weekend, as of the time we're doing this recording, and one of the things, that, and I just wrote a blog post about this, there's that freedom of decluttering the excess stuff,
Feels so
but at
good.
the same time, we held on to these things because they had everything that we put out on these tables had a memory. I remember when we were traveling and picked this up, or I remember, this being in mom's house or grandma's house, or I remember, going to Coney Island with grandpa when we
Yeah.
picked this up, and these kinds of things, just, all these memories, and realize that when we share those things
Mm.
and we tell the story behind it,
Right.
that helps to perpetuate the memory. It helps to
Right.
to keep the love of that individual alive. So you're not being, you're not throwing stuff away. You're helping others to benefit from it in some fashion. And even better if you can share the story that goes with it.
I love that. And I've thought a lot about that as my mom is getting older, and there's a lot of stuff she has. And I've looked through the stuff I have, and I'm like, these have stories, but my kids don't know these stories.
Yeah.
Um, and how can they know it? Like, how can we share that? Because that's the part that's fun. It's not the object itself.
No, it's not. It's not. The objects that we have are just things to remind us of those moments in
Right.
life, or the people behind them, or whatever it was. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And we don't really need the thing. Sometimes we need the thing because we just want to hold on to that physical representation of the memory. But
Exactly.
for the most part, it's all in here and in here, you know.
Right.
And for the people who are just listening to the audio of this, I was pointing to my head and my heart.
Right. That's
I
what
keep forgetting we're doing a video, but it's also
that's
audio.
it's all good. It's all good. My former spouse's grandma always said, take memory pictures. Just take memory pictures, and what can you do to store this in your memory so you won't forget it? And I
I
love
love
that.
it. I love it. It's great stuff. Great stuff. So, talking a little bit more now, tell us, how did you? We learned a little bit about kind of how you evolved a little bit, and what do you do now, and where you get this expertise and how you share it now.
So my primary job is I'm a psychotherapist. I work with people through trauma and help them deal with their trauma. I have been doing that for 30 years. I developed a model which is based with the attachment. The attachment wounds are part of that model, and so I share that with other therapists and healers across the the world and help them use that model to help people find how to heal the wounds and connect with their truth and then live abundantly the way that they were born to live. That's what I do.
Now, I love the expression attachment wounds. Explain that a little bit.
So, I mean, loss, rejection, neglect, abandonment, betrayal, abuse, each one of those, when I list those, people immediately can think of events that they've had where they've experienced loss or they've been rejected or they've experienced neglect. And depending on the severity of when those happened or how frequently they happened, for example, being bullied a lot for me, a huge rejection wound. What came with that bullying was the message that I'm not enough. There's something wrong with me. And then if I never challenged that, if I never looked at how that shows up, then I would always play small and I wouldn't really live to my fullest potential.
Wow.
But when I start to recognize, okay, that message isn't actually true. That message came from whatever those guys were dealing with, those bullies were dealing with in their own lives. That message came from a place of darkness, not light. But when I really can connect with light and love and reframe that message and say, I am enough. I'm not perfect, but I have talents and abilities that I can use to bless the world. Then I can actually fulfill my mission and I can actually make a difference in people's lives and for me. And that's really what I'm hoping people can do is understand that we can do wound care. We can help clean up those wounds and help them not hurt so bad. And we can also change the messages that have gone along with them and adopt new messages that I'm enough, I matter, I have gifts and talents, and use that to create connections with the people that we love.
Wow, we are speaking with Troy Love. He is the self-love torchbearer. I love that nickname. I don't know if that's your official nickname or not, but I just love that title. You can find more about Troy on findingpeaceconsulting.com. And you can also, I would recommend picking up Cracking the Rich Code Volume 15 and checking out his chapter, which is Healing 6 Attachment Wounds and Overcoming Shame to Achieve Financial Abundance. And Troy, I tell you, this is a very enlightening discussion that we're having. I can see how just a longer discussion with you is going to open up some floodgates for people and really help folks to realize that they do have self-worth. And that's what everybody really cares about in the world. All the stuff we're trying to amass, whether it's money or jobs or whatever it is that we're doing in life, it comes down to one simple thing, and that's just to feel as if what we do and who we are matters.
Exactly.
And I think the work that you're doing is just super significant in being able to help people realize that they are enough and they do matter, and that they make a difference every day. And so I love what you're doing. So how can people kind of tap into your reservoir of love?
Well, if they go to Finding Peace Consulting, there's a lot of resources there. My first book came out in 2017, which is a workbook. It's like a self-help workbook that people can use on their own. I'm in the process.
And what's the name of that book?
Finding Peace.
Okay, so we're gonna tell people about that.
Thank you.
Is it available on Amazon or
it is?
Where else? Okay.
Yes. It's available on Amazon. I'm actually in the process of updating the audio version of that, so that should be out at the end of this week. So,
Are you doing the voiceover yourself?
I am. Before I hired somebody because I didn't have time for that, and this time I have the equipment to be able to do it. So it's me this time. So
good. Well, you've got a very soothing voice. I think it'll probably be it'll be great.
Well,
I'll look forward to that.
That's what people tell me. I used to hate this voice, and now I'm really, really grateful for it. So thank you.
See, you've learned from your own self.
I have. Yes.
Appreciate the gifts that you have and realize that they are gifts.
Yes. and it is. A lot of people have told me that, so it makes me really grateful. So, plus I'm a little older. When I was 19, I definitely sounded different.
Oh, I know I did. I had a high squeaky voice.
Oh, dude.
I was a little kid too. I had a squeaky voice, and it took
Well,
me a
you
while.
don't anymore. It's really nice.
Oh, thanks. That's because I've gotten a little wider, so there's more echo chamber down there.
I can resonate with that too.
Yeah, I tell people I'm not out of shape because round is a shape. It's
That's true. Me too.
what happens with me. And the physicists have told us that the most perfect shape in the universe is the sphere. So as I'm aging, I'm just approaching perfection.
Oh, there you are. There you are. That's a great way to reframe it.
You've got to reframe. You've got to
That's
reframe. You
right.
got to
That's right.
always look for that light, right? And understand that the light at the end of the tunnel is not necessarily an oncoming train. It actually
No, I hope not. Right.
This has been a great conversation, Troy. I have to
Thank
tell you,
you.
I'm going to look for your book. Now, I heard you starting to say, do you have something else coming up? Or is that the audio update that you were talking
And
about?
that is the audio update. I do have another book called The Year of Self-Love, which is 365 entries to help you work on loving yourself. They have quotes and exercises and different things. That's also available on Amazon and other bookstores too. So, yeah,
Excellent. And if people go to your website, they can find information about those
they
products?
can. Yep, they
Okay,
can find
excellent.
out information about that. They can sign up for the 5-day Finding Peace Challenge, which walks them through the Finding Peace model and helps. What the Finding Peace model really does is help give people vocabulary to be able to talk about what's happened to them. It really makes it digestible and easy to talk about. One of my heroes, Mr. Rogers, said that what's
Oh,
mentionable is manageable. And so when we can talk about, our loss or rejection or abandonment or whatever, and can talk about it, it becomes manageable.
right. It's when we keep it inside that it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Why is it that people are so afraid to share their vulnerability and to share those things?
well, they don't want to get hurt, right? So if we have a rejection wound or a loss wound or a neglect wound, my fear is if I'm vulnerable, you're going to reject me again. If I'm vulnerable, you're going to abandon me. You are going to betray me. And unfortunately, coming from the history of being bullied, we've had a history of that. It's not necessarily our history now or our future now, but that's what we've come to believe. And so there's a fear that if I'm vulnerable, you're going to hurt me. So it's not that we should like go out and just be vulnerable anywhere and everywhere, but
Oh,
it's
true. Yeah.
who in my life can I be vulnerable with? Are there people that I can trust that who love me and I can share my me with them and they can share themselves with me and we can support each other. And that's part of how we heal the wounds is through connection.
So where do we go from here, Troy? Like what's how can we help to spread these messages throughout society? Because right now we are in a world of hate, division, and fear.
Oh my gosh, so bad. It's so divisive.
And so we really need to share this feeling of that we can be enough, we are enough, uh, and how we need to share with each other. How can we just get out there and help more people?
Well, we start with the people closest to us. We start with our children. We start with our friends. We start with our partners. We start with our loved ones, and we let them know that they matter to us and that they are valuable to us and that they mean something to us. And we ask them to share part of them with us and vice versa. And then hopefully that will continue to grow and continue to skyrocket.
Yeah, it can be contagious, right? I mean, a smile
Right.
is contagious.
So much
Yeah,
so.
and
Yeah.
I know that when we interact with other people, that interaction carries on to how they interact with the next person, and how they interact with the next person.
We pay it forward, right?
Yeah, constantly, and we do it unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true, right? It sets up, depending on that first conversation you have of the day, will set up your mood for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there was, I don't know if you're familiar with a folk singer named James Lee Stanley.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's got one of the smoothest voices on the planet. He's a guitarist, and um, he used to. He's done a zillion things, but one of the things he does in his shows, and he likes to tell stories in between his music, but he tells this. It's a proverb, and it says that, and this is where I learned it from. So I want to give him props for this. But it says, if you live long enough, everything will happen to you. Which means, which means there's going to be good things and bad things, right? It's sometimes you're going to be doing well, sometimes not. You may be sick, you're going to be healthy, you're going to have food, and you're going to be hungry, and all these different things are going to happen to you in your life. At some point in your life, in some chapter, you'll be the hero. In another, maybe you'll be the victim. And yet in another, you might be the villain in somebody else's story. And you may or may not even realize it. The thing is that everyone is going through this in their life. And you never know. It's unpredictable where somebody is and what they're going through, which is why we just need to share a little bit more compassion, understanding, and tolerance with each other.
Right. But we don't really know the pain that somebody else is carrying around. And if we could just be a little bit more compassionate,
we don't.
I think that would make the world a much better place.
Yeah. Start from the assumption that they are having pain, and then go from there.
Because we all do.
Yeah. Troy, this has been remarkable. I really love our conversation. I almost wish we can. Well, I do wish we had more time. We are getting tight on time here, and maybe we'll have to have another conversation at another time too. I'm looking forward to reading your chapter and getting a deeper dive. And by the way, I am going to be taking your 5-day challenge. I'm going to check that out on your website. And so everyone, check out Troy's chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 15. It is Healing 6 Attachment Wounds and Overcoming Shame to Achieve Financial Abundance. But I'm going to point out the fact that it's not just financial abundance that you'll achieve. It is abundance across all the aspects of your life. And you can learn more about Troy on findingpeaceconsulting.com. And on there, you'll find out more about his other books besides the Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 15. And you'll also find out more about his 5-day challenge. Definitely check that out. And Troy, if there's any other way that you want people to get in touch with you, or if there's anything else that you want, if you want to leave somebody with one final message, what would that be?
That you matter, that you're enough, that you are worthy of love and belonging. And even when maybe the world is telling you otherwise, it's not true. You are a being of light.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. Troy, are you on LinkedIn?
I am. Yes. Troy L.
And can they find you just by your name, or is it you have another?
Troy L. Love on LinkedIn. So you can find me there.
Okay. Troy, looking forward to it. Definitely will connect with you, and we'll definitely do more going forward in the future. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Cracking the Rich Code podcast. And thank you also for saying yes to Jim Brett to be in a chapter, to share your light, to share your fire with others, and to be and then to come on to the show, which gave me the opportunity to chat with you. And I've learned so much, and just got some warm fuzzies all through this whole conversation. So thank you so much again, Troy. And we'll be talking more, most definitely. All right. Take care. You've been listening to the Cracking the Rich Code podcast, and stay tuned. We always have more cool people, but today's guest, I'm going to call him Doctor, even though he's not really. Troy Love, the author in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 15, and the founder of Finding Peace Consulting. Do check him out. Troy,